One is brought to you by title sponsor Bermuda Healthcare Services. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson One-on-One.
What's up, Bermuda Real family? Thanks for tuning in again. It's been a minute since our last interview on January 31st with the former Premier, Dr. Ewart Brown. We have a lot more coming in the weeks ahead. Had to do a lot of homework, yeah? Just so you know, as of this show airing will be every 2 weeks moving forward. Thanks for the support. We'll talk about that more in a bit. Joining us today are the two lead subject officials in a story that I've been working on for more than 5 months now. It started some wee hour in the morning when someone sent me a Facebook message and it was this long spiel. I said, okay, let me wait till daylight, have some tea and put my glasses on straight. Turns out that story had to do with a lease granted by the West End Development Corporation to a new charity that is seeking to do a lot of good work when it comes to the social fabric and the breakdown in this community. What's the problem? That lease was extended from December to May. It's about to expire. We have the head of WEDCO here today who has yet to make a decision, so it's a live story. It's going to continue. This report tonight is about, it's not what you do, it's how you do it, okay? There is a social program at Messina House next to a community center in the midst of a community in Dockyard that was granted permission by WEDCO to have a lease to do what they do. They promised certain things like public consultation. About a few weeks ago in March, last week of March, there was a public meeting at Messina House, at which time most residents in the area were getting wind of this. When they got wind of it, they got wind of my initial contact where there was an incident involving one of the males at this charity, right, who approached a young male in the area. Since then, there have been other reports of incidences. Now, I agree with the lead source, who, that's what we'll call her, that we won't say what's what. The matter has been referred to police, but there was a meeting held at the end of March regarding this setup at Messina House. The authorities are involved. I know for a fact that the area MP, Kathy Leon Simmons, is aware of it. She did not attend this meeting. I believe one of her parents were sick or whatever. We've reached out to the authorities, including the Child and Family Services and people that this woman has purview over. So having said that, we're going to start with the landlord who granted the lease. Now, Mr. Diaz would know we've been talking over several months. I want to say for the record that I understand NIMBY, the not in my backyard syndrome. I also want to say up front that the founder of this charity, who may very well have good intentions, is a resident of Tuckerstown. I was corrected. He lives in Harrington Hundreds. But when this man and all his affluence was asked if it's so needed, why you didn't set it up in your pool house, he told the resident that's not appropriate. So we're here today, right, to talk about it, because mental illness, homelessness, and all these things lives right in our houses. So we can't get caught up in this not in my backyard syndrome in a 21 square mile thing. Having said that, if it's not at Messina House, where would it be? So Mr. Diaz, I'm going to start with you because you're here with the executive director of the charity involved, Miss Denise Carey. And you will both know that I've been on this story for a while. Miss Carey would know that I visited the property yesterday and very quickly was approached, what are you doing here type thing. From a landlord point of view, from a homeowner, the building looks like crap from the outside.
Well, let's start. You actually started about 5 minutes ago with an overview, so I'll give you the overview from our perspective, and that is that WEDCO was contacted sort of towards the end of last year, somewhere in the September-October timeframe, as were many other areas throughout Bermuda, in order to find a location that was currently empty, that probably needed a little bit of work, that was able to, for a short period of time, house people over the winter months because it was cold. And that is how the initiative actually started. So just so that we have the foundation of actually how it started. And I can say that that is what we did. We agreed to allow him to take a 6-month lease, which expires, as you quite rightly said, in May.
End of May.
We showed him the only place that we actually have available that was empty within the dockyard area. And it, as you quite rightly said, it needed some work, whether it be roof and painting and some cracks and different things like that, as well as on the inside.
I don't know what the inside.
No, that's fine. I have no problem.
I can only guess.
No, you probably can't. It's not quite as bad. I mean, there are many other places that are a lot worse. There are things that Home took on as their challenge. They said, listen, they asked us if we would do it. Again, it's 6 months, so put it in perspective. We're going to invest and do some things to, one, make it comfortable for people, and also we will do some work on the building. So we agreed through the board to provide a lease for 6 months, and knowing that towards the end of that 6-month period, Home would come back with a proposal and an overview of what happened over that period of time for the board's consideration to look at, can we extend and look for a longer term lease.
So the big question is, what you gonna do?
So the decision, as you already said yourself, is not quite made yet. The lease is not over.
Is it gonna be made?
When we have to obviously make it be before the end of May. So there are some things that have started, in that Home has put together, or is completing to put together, a proposal that will be presented to the WEDCO board. It will include all of the things that have gone on from inception, including how they got started, how they moved on, how it has been, have there been any incidents, basically the good, bad, and the ugly, if that's what you want to say, to put it in a nutshell. And that will be presented, we're expecting at any time, and it will go to the board at probably the next board meeting, or at worst case, the board meeting thereafter. Our board meets during the last week of each month.
What are we gonna go right up to the end of May before we know what WEDCO's gonna do?
It is likely that that will happen, because obviously we have to get the information, not just from Home, but also we have all the information that various other parties have sent to us.
So worst case scenario, you're gonna extend it and residents will want some things moving forward. Best case scenario, you're gonna shut it down and they have to get out. That's it?
That's what you're saying.
When we talked over the months leading up to this, you yourself, and mind you, that conversation was off the record, said there were some protocols that WEDCO had asked this charity to do that they didn't do. You care to talk about that?
I wouldn't say that there were any protocols that we didn't do. That Home did not do. I don't remember that as part of our conversation. I'm saying, like everything, there are protocols, and we can always do better, no matter who the agency is or entity is, or not everything always goes according to script. And so are there lessons learned, and that's what I'll call from it? Definitely. And do we have to have those lessons learned, and so we can go back to, in this case, the community and Home and everyone else, to ensure that we educate people? Definitely.
So when we talked, and I said this to you, You raised the point, if it's not there, where else it's going to be? You kind of came across like a bleeding heart. This could be my uncle, this could be my cousin.
Well, no, we had as you said, it was an off-the-record conversation. You actually started this whole interview process with saying, not in my backyard.
Right.
That was part of our conversation.
Yes.
And so, yes, that is true. Everyone, I mean, whether we switch gears and start looking at whether or not people want to drink milk and do they want to smell the cows, whether or not we want to have
You need to talk to Michael Dunkley.
well, I don't know who you got to talk to about that, but that's not it, with it. What I'm saying is we have situations like this throughout Bermuda. This isn't unique to one area within Bermuda. There are homes and charities and other situations that are set up, BHC housing in certain areas, emergency housing in certain areas throughout Bermuda, whether it's run through a government agency, a private agency, or a charity. And unfortunately, we need to look at timing of where are we in Bermuda and is it required? What is the alternative? Those are all the things we talked about. What happens if home leaves? Many of these people are from Somerset. Where do they go? What do they do?
Well, I'm told a lot of them are the guys that drink down Flag Pool at Front Street.
I'm not sure of all the individuals, but some of them are from Somerset, some of them from other areas. But really and truly, they're still Bermudians.
Okay, we'll be right back. Let's take a break. Hear from our title sponsor.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. Ceola Wilson One is brought to you by title sponsor Bermuda Healthcare Services.
For more than 30 years, Bermuda Healthcare Services and the Brown Darrow Clinic have provided state-of-the-art diagnostic choices to the people of Bermuda. We were the first facility outside the hospital to establish a full array of imaging services. Under the skillful supervision of Dr. Mahesh Reddy, we offer CAT scanning, ultrasound, echocardiography, X-ray, and MRI scanning. Our team of highly skilled technologists hold outstanding credentials, and our staff will ensure that your visit is comfortable and confidential. If you would like to experience our private care, feel free to let your doctor know. Our CT and MRI results are available from the Leahy Clinic in 24 hours or less. For more information, check our website at bhcs.bm or call us at 236-2810. Building trust, one patient at a time.
This program is brought to you in part by Project Action and Sensei Roots Phillips and Zenji Ru Bermuda Karate Do. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson, One-on-One.
So just before we move to Miss Carrie, you were at that meeting. I was told by my Mills in the meeting that you did this and didn't say a word. What's your take on that meeting?
I won't say quite
because they say temperatures were raging.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it was
Angry.
great. I've been in other meetings that have been far worse.
Okay.
And with less sensitive things than what we were discussing. So I completely understand emotion. I completely understand, I think people had the opportunity to speak, which was good. Our role, or my role at that particular event, was not necessarily to speak. It was to sit there, gather information, understand. I heard comments from some of the people that were there. It says, exactly what we just finished speaking about. Why isn't it here? Why can't you set it up in St. David's?
Right.
That was actually a
You're
comment.
the landlord. What you say?
I didn't. I mean, it was a general
what's
comment.
your take on, in
Oh,
hindsight?
they already have one in St. David's. It's run through BHC, where we end up having the emergency shelter, right? They're everywhere. That is the point. But I'm saying there were situations that people had to get out what they have inside. There were other people that said, definitely, I just don't want it. There were other people that came forward and said that this is not all bad, that it's a good thing, and can we improve on it, and how can I feel comfortable going forward now that we know that this is here? Because some people said that they weren't even aware that it was here for whatever reason. And so it was an opportunity for me to attend on behalf of WEDCO to gather information, understand what's there, so that I then can obviously report back to the board, and all of that information, inclusive of the proposal that will be sent, can be taken into consideration.
So at this stage, having heard what you heard, what are you inclined to do?
That decision is not Andrew Dias's. That decision will be made by the board.
What's Andrew Dias, the bleeding heart, who
No,
understands NIMBY, saying?
I'm not necessarily actually made a decision, if you will, to say what side is it. I am supportive of and empathetic to the situation of certain individuals that are within the community that have challenges. Likewise, I know that this is a real problem for Bermuda. This is a live problem that is not just in Dockyard. It is not just in Somerset. It is not in Southampton or Warwick or Paget. It's throughout this entire
But
island.
when it comes to Dockyard, people say Andrew Diaz is the guy who knocked on low-cost housing to put up fabulous condos for people who wanted to see the America's Cup.
Well, I'm not sure what condos you're referring to.
Alfred Terrace, Princess
Well, no,
Louise,
those were-
all those places were knocked down.
No, actually, they weren't knocked down. What was knocked down was Albert Road.
Right.
And in its place, if you remember, it was supposed to be the 100 homes development. And
And
then
it turned into
28, and that was a decision by the government at that time to stop it from being 100 homes to 28. That was not Andrew Dias's decision.
people blame you for that.
Well, there's a lot of things when you sit in a position that you get
can have
blamed
your
for,
job, okay?
but that's okay.
Miss Carrie,
Hello, Ceola.
thank you for coming on board. Your opening remarks. There's been a lot of noise about
There
this.
has been, and
My question would be, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
yes,
Public consultation didn't happen. Why not?
there was public consultation. There was definitely room for more consultation. We had spent a considerable amount of time working with our government, working with community stakeholders, service providers, reaching out to churches and the police and a number of other organizations for support and ideas as to where we could potentially house this vulnerable population. So in that regard, we are definitely open and excited about increased collaboration within individual neighborhoods and parishes throughout the island.
Who exactly are you housing at this shelter?
We are housing individuals who have been homeless. Some of them came right in off of the street, which we refer to as rough sleepers. Others have been transitioned there due to becoming homeless over the couple of months. The reason why our work is so critical at this point in time in Bermuda is that we've been able to identify 13 subsections of homelessness. They are the obvious, which are the individuals who we tend to see on Front Street. We see them through the railway trails. They are living on the beaches. In addition to that, there's a population of individuals who are living in emergency housing. Then there's another subsection of individuals who have gone into temporary housing, which is turned into permanent long-term housing, such as in St. David's. But people do not necessarily consider the fact that there are young people aging out of systems who are housing insecure. We have victims of crime who may at 3 o'clock in the morning need to find secure housing. We have individuals who are coming out of institutions, and we automatically associate that with corrections. But we have individuals who are coming out of Maui. We have individuals who are coming out of the Bermuda, out of the hospital, who they have no confirmed place to live. And that's just half of the population. We have individuals who are what we call house hopping, couch surfing, right? We all know somebody who's living on somebody's couch, somebody who's sleeping on somebody's floor, and they're going from home to home. Those people too are homeless. They're housing insecure. We have individuals in Bermuda who are living in derelict buildings, no electricity, no running water. We have people who are living in overcrowding. We also have individuals which we take for granted who are living in Bermuda, who are non-Bermudian, who are getting up in age, and they have nowhere to live, and they do not qualify for support because they are not Bermudian. So there are quite a number of individuals who can be categorized as homeless. And around December, after conducting a considerable amount of data, there were approximately 600 individuals who fell within those subcategories. Now, within that, we have the rough sleepers, the persons who are living outside. Through our data, we had identified 38 individuals. 2 of those were over 79, 17 of those were over 60, 2 were terminal, about 5 of them had had strokes within 2021, and they were living outside. So that turned up the urgency or the priority of finding housing for persons who were living outside. And we're not talking about people who are outside for a year or for a season. There are individuals who have been outside for up to 35 years. That is why Home was founded.
So when you say more public consultation could have happened, what happened?
Yes, we missed an opportunity for more consultation from the community, but we welcome the opportunity as we look towards future work with this population and other parishes to create opportunities for feedback, for collaboration, for our community, as well as the clients that we're servicing, to give feedback and offer suggestions as to how we can effectively house Bermuda's homeless.
Okay, so I reached out to a number of area residents, spoke to quite a few. One gentleman who's the father of a young daughter sent me a bullet list. His list includes people can sense when something is not right with another individual, whether it be mental issues, being drunk or on drugs. You can tell when people have issues. And they bring all of this to my neighborhood. Basically, he's a father who doesn't feel safe letting his 5 or 6 or 7-year-old daughter play right outside next to the people in this facility. The other allegation is that it's supervised from 8 in the morning until 8 at night, and then they're left to their own devices. Is that true?
That is not correct.
Did it start that way?
We started initially with a small group of people. Once we reached capacity, we made sure that we have 24-hour staff on board. So we have shifts, morning, evening, and overnight shifts. But in addition to the staff that work in the house, we also have 5 case managers that are assigned to each one of the clients that we support. So it's not, I've heard the word floating around that we're operating a shelter. We absolutely are not. It is a transitional, independent group living. We are working with all of these individuals to reconnect with next of kin, identify what their medical needs are, and making sure that they're being referred and that we are actually taking them to these appointments. We are working with them to access public transportation. We are working with them to go shopping in the West End community and utilize the laundromat.
But who's watching them when they're left to their own devices? They're in the middle of a neighborhood with young children. Some guy tried to grab a little 5-year-old boy the other day over his fishing lines.
The individuals that are at Messina, it is independent living. We have staff that are there to supervise 24 hours a day. We are working with the individuals to support them in their transition and their rehousing. These individuals have not been identified as high risk. That is why they are appropriate or were deemed appropriate to be rehoused in this environment.
This gentleman wants to know, would the Board of Home have set up this in their own neighborhoods? Would they have consulted with their neighbors first? Is this something that they would even consider, especially when this man of affluence says, well, not in my pool house?
We want to remind the community that the homeless population can be found island-wide. This one property is one solution or one support for all of the 13 subsections of individuals who need housing support. It is our intention, as our mission is to end homelessness in Bermuda, is to work collaboratively with the entire island to identify other opportunities to house. Home is everywhere. We not only provide case management for the individuals that are in the West End, but we continue to provide case management support for other individuals throughout the island. We are everywhere.
He admits that doing work to help the homeless is a good thing, does not make you immune from being questioned about how they operate the shelter. Yes. One allegation has been that you guys took a carbon copy of some program in England that doesn't even run a 24-hour shelter.
That's correct. We didn't take the carbon copy of that to turn that into a program. The document that you're referring to is called Crisis, and it is entitled Everybody In, and it provides a format of how a jurisdiction can work together and work with collecting data from the primary stakeholders, collecting data from the secondary stakeholders, and working with community partners to develop a national plan to address homelessness.
And so is that what you're working on?
Yes, that is
because
what we're
the
working on.
allegation is, and they've sent me the board members, you've got some high-powered, very well-paid individuals on your board who are coming off like all of this is beneath them.
I have a very compassionate and dedicated and hardworking board. We have been working tirelessly since August to work on strategies to address homelessness. We have been working in partnership and collaboration with our government, with the stakeholders. We hosted a virtual summit with all of these individuals.
But the biggest stakeholders are the people you dumped this program in the backyard. You didn't talk to them. What's going to be different moving forward?
Moving forward, we definitely will be including greater collaboration with our community. We are looking for persons to work with us to identify solutions for us to work together for the safety of not only the communities that we are in, but also for our clients. Collaboration is going to be the key. This is a huge undertaking, but we are at a critical level of individuals who are homeless or on the pathway to homelessness. And the only way forward is not for whom to be working independently. The only way for us as a community to be successful is if we are all committed to working together. The problem is too big. So if everyone commits to doing a little bit, we will get a lot further. And therein lies the community safety.
Well, the allegation, and no disrespect to PLP MP Tanae Furbit, who apparently is in on this thing, the allegation is that she's in cahoots with you guys. And she knows that Bermuda has no vulnerable persons act outside of how it relates to seniors, and she's advising you guys on how to get over the loopholes. And I'm hearing that same allegation about the area MP, Kathy Leon Simmons. So, with these two in charge, based on how it's going so far, what can the residents expect different from you?
We are very familiar with the standards required for operating a residential. And yes, you are absolutely right. There are no regulations that provide oversight for this particular population. However, we do know what those are from overseas. So we have put in place policies and procedures that will ensure that we are maintaining best standard practices.
See, a lot of people do. Like, I've been around and I'm getting old. But I remember Connie Furtado.
Yes.
And you got guys in that category right in this neighborhood now. Are you aware, while all this was going on, a convicted pedophile who just over a year being released from prison is back in custody for interfering with another child right next door to you? And the word is, the mob is glad police got him, because people were looking to kill him. And you got these same kind of incidents happening around your program right now.
So
You say what?
What that scenario is not associated with our program or our organization. So
But
let me
it's
just
part
say
of
that
what you're dealing with.
it's not part of what I'm dealing with. The individuals that we are working with have been deemed lower risk, and they are not sex offenders. This group of guys, part of it is the community. We want for them to get to know them, so that we're not reading a piece of paper that says this is who they are, or I remember them from 20 years ago. When we received the key to Messina House, I remember specifically saying, I do not want a building that's moving and ready. These guys have come up there, and my misconception of what that was going to look like. Day 2, Carrie, I need you to go get a scraper. Carrie, can you go buy me some buckets and get some Clorox? And Carrie, every morning it's Carrie, can you do this? Can you do that? These individuals have come in and are so overwhelmed at the opportunity to be a part of something, to belong to something. I have not once had to ask those guys to do anything, the guys or the ladies. Everybody that has come there has looked around and said, hey, you know what? I need drywall up there. Carrie, can you get me this blade?
Have you asked them not to
That
interfere
is
with
the-
people's children?
The gentlemen do not interfere with children. The scenario that you shared with us before we started, that we have a resident who loves to fish, and he loves to share his fishing skills with everybody. So there was a situation where a child was lifting up his line. No fisherman likes that. And so, yeah, he was rough on the language, but he did not
All right.
touch him.
So what about
He
the
thought
lead
he was being
source
funny.
whose son was asked, do you like little boys or little girls? Took his drone and destroyed it. You paid that woman back for his drone?
I am aware
Well, you
that
need
the
to pay her
situation
back for that
occurred.
drone.
This is the first time that I've heard that there was any damage.
She
to-
said she didn't ask you, but I'm asking
Well,
you.
I did not know.
We'll be right back right after this.
We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. Ceola Wilson One is brought to you by title sponsor Bermuda Healthcare Services.
For more than 30 years, Bermuda Healthcare Services and the Brown Darrow Clinic have provided state-of-the-art diagnostic choices to the people of Bermuda. We were the first facility outside the hospital to establish a full array of imaging services. Under the skillful supervision of Dr. Mahesh Reddy, we offer CAT scanning, ultrasound, echocardiography, X-ray, and MRI scanning. Our team of highly skilled technologists hold outstanding credentials, and our staff will ensure that your visit is comfortable and confidential. If you would like to experience our private care, feel free to let your doctor know. Our CT and MRI results are available from the Leahy Clinic in 24 hours or less. For more information, check our website at bhcs.bm or call us at 236-2810. Building trust, one patient at a time.
This program is brought to you in part by Project Action and Sensei Roots Phillips and Zenji Ru Bermuda Karate Do. Real news, real issues, real people. It's Ceola Wilson One.
So to just pick up where we left off, and just before we go, let me say this is part 1. We've extended an invitation to the authorities, including the powers that be, about this whole gray space, about the lack of a vulnerable persons protocol, with the exception of seniors. You can find a list of protocols for senior citizens and care given outer care places. But there's nothing in stone for anybody who wants to open up a charity. So having said that, my last question, you gonna give these people back that money for that child's drone? Because you should.
Well, thank you, Ceola, for bringing that to my attention. I did not know until you mentioned it that there was an issue with the drone. I am more than happy to meet with the family to discuss the drone and how we can replace the drone.
And moving forward, what can you say to these parents who have a problem with your program in their backyard?
Yes. I want to thank the entire Birds Island community for your patience and understanding as we provide services for the community. I want to apologize to the family and the brave young man who has stood up bravely again for his rights, and I really appreciate the opportunity that Home now has to strengthen the program that we provide and incorporate ongoing community collaboration.
So having seen all that anger and emotion at that meeting, moving forward, you say?
I say that you can expect greater collaboration. I would encourage persons to call us directly, and we will work together to ensure that we create a safe environment for everybody.
So if somebody wants to reach you, how do they do that? Get your pens, people. Go real slow.
My email address is denise@home.bam. You can also call our office line at 599-9933.
At the end of the day, your well-to-do father didn't set this up in his yard. So what's he saying now?
The solutions to address homelessness in Bermuda are going to look like me. They're going to be single mothers with young black sons. They are going to be white expats working in our community. They're going to be grassroots football clubs. They are going to be single black men who are committed to bringing about change. Everybody in Bermuda plays a role in ending homelessness. And my board is committed to supporting these community initiatives so that we can end homelessness and bring everyone in within the next 10 years.
But in all fairness, your well-to-do board don't have this in their backyard.
But what they're ensuring is that this is not in anybody's backyard. My board is committed to bringing everybody in.
So in hindsight, you regret the lack of public consultation and you'll do better moving forward?
In hindsight, I absolutely agree that we need to strengthen communication and collaboration with the community, and I am committed to doing just that.
So if Becco tells you you have to leave come the end of May, what you gonna do?
We don't want to leave. They deserve to be there. I believe that it's time for our community to shift and ensure that everybody here knows that they are welcome. And we are going to do everything in our power to increase public confidence in not only the work that we are doing, but also to educate about the amazing individuals who are stricken with homelessness. We're going to get to know people.
At a time when our people are killing each other?
Exactly.
You think that's going to work?
We just came off of COVID, where we were all on lockdown, where we could not talk to people that we normally would. We couldn't hug the people that we loved. We couldn't travel to see individuals. We couldn't smell. Imagine, if you can, living 30 years like that. It's been too long. Imagine on any given day that you feel sick, but you have to get up anyway. Being homeless is a full-time job. If they don't get up, they don't eat. If they don't connect with the street walkers, they don't get any support or any encouragement. Every day, some of these individuals get up and get out of our way before the sun comes up. And then they have to find things to do all day so that they don't upset us. It's time for us as a community to decide that there's enough room on this island for everybody. And we need to get to know these individuals, find out what their needs are, and work together to address those needs. As a mother, if my son ends up in any of these situations, I would look for the entire community to support. If I was the mother of a young person aging out of a system, I would expect for there to be some resolution. If I am the mother of an individual who's learning to navigate mental health, where is he going? As a community, we need to work to identify solutions so that everybody is inside.
But as a mother, you know, we have little demonic monsters who would chase you down, shoot you in the head, and leave you in the street for dead.
As a mother, I know that every child can't be everywhere, but I do know that there are solutions, workable solutions on this small island. We have a lot of resources. If we work together, we can identify housing opportunities for everyone.
Mr. Diaz,
Yes.
in closing, you say, after all of this?
Yeah, as I said to you before, I mean, we obviously, my purpose of this is to take all the information from the community, from whom, from yourselves, from anybody else, and I will be presenting it to the board. It's going to be a very difficult decision. It's not going to be a popular decision, and whatever it is, this is going to be a difficult position that we have to get through. And no matter which way the decision ends up being, there's going to be either losses or gains.
You know you have a lot of people want to scalp you right now, right?
Well, I'm pretty well cut down pretty low right now. Somebody, as you said, needs to sit into position. It's not always a pleasant situation to sit in. We have to address it. We have to talk about it. And if I have to be that conduit to for decision, then that's part of my role. It's not always about the roses at the end of the day. There are certain positions that you sit in that you have to do the good, the bad, and the necessary. And
sometimes
it's
that's
tough.
ugly.
And sometimes some people would deem it as being ugly, but it is not.
Would you have this set up in your backyard?
We already have them around where I live. So if you want to know, I mean, we have them in every single community. Maybe not exactly the same way, but we have houses, we have homes, we have charities, we have organizations in just about every single parish on this island. And I also would want to put forward that we have situations that are just as bad that are not in this home, that are actually worse.
Like what?
Well, you mentioned one
Right.
of a situation which actually has absolutely nothing to do
No,
with
but it's
home.
right around the corner from you.
So it exists within our community already. And if we went to Southampton and we went to Warwick or we went down the road further, we'd find other examples of the same thing if we start asking people. And I think what Denise is trying to say is that we need everybody in Bermuda to, one, recognize that this problem exists, and we need to find solutions on how we're going to deal with it. We, as Bermudians, excuse me, have been amazing at keeping our head in the sand and not dealing with situations.
Well, it's amazing to me how we're now on Minister of National Security #3, and he's still talking about this is a community problem. No, it's a black Bermuda baby demonic children problem. I don't think we want to get honest about that.
I would disagree. I have found my experience with these individuals to be very normal. They have been very normal. I was expecting a heightened level of just anything, but they are very kind, they're very compassionate. They have this huge communication network. They look out for each other. I get WhatsApp messages if somebody's not back before dark, but they're usually there. I get pictures from my staff because the guys caught an octopus and everybody's taking pictures in front of it. I have individuals who volunteered to bring food there during the day, and these guys are trying to figure out how they can chef up and donate it to other charities. It's not that. We really have to take the time to get to know people before we make assumptions. And we also have to put
Bermuda's good
ourselves
for that.
What? But we also have to put ourselves in their shoes. If you've been living outside and you have no toilet that you can go to on any given night, how happy would you be? You're not going to be walking around town smiling and hailing people up. You're upset, you're angry. And then to be on the street for so long, there's this sense of, I got left behind. One person said to me, why don't they see me? We walk across these individuals and they deal with a lot of verbal abuse every single day. We have guys who slept on park benches for years and they can't sleep more than 2 hours. The temperature changes, it suddenly starts raining, then they have to go to the bathroom, then they have to make sure nobody's trying to do anything to them. So they may sleep 2 hours there, 2 hours there. And then we're walking through the parks in the morning talking about go get a job. Being an adult is hard.
How bad is it though? Because you hear of people sleeping in the bushes and in cars.
It is
But
bad.
it goes unchecked.
I get calls every single day. There are persons in our community living in stables, living in sheds, living in cars. There are mothers and fathers who have children who are living in cars, but for fear of getting reported, they're not going to raise their hand. We have individuals who have no access to running water, no guaranteed food. COVID was not good to them. When the foot traffic stopped, the road traffic stopped, where was their food? Then there's a public holiday and the rest of us get all excited for a long weekend. They're not excited. They have nowhere to get food on a Sunday when everything is closed. When I tell you it's a full-time job, there is a lot of stress associated with being homeless. And these are the things that we take for granted. So within that, what you will see is resilience, determination. I had somebody call me the other day saying that they would like to come to the building so that they could teach budget. I was like, ma'am, if you can teach how to survive off of $10 a week, because they can teach us, they have so much to teach us that we are taken for granted. But these individuals enjoy life. They are making the best out of bare minimum. All we are asking is for us to create opportunities for them to come inside and have dignity associated with their housing. That is all we're asking.
Well, like I said at the top, I understand NIMBY and I get what you're saying. I also got a lot of noise from angry area residents saying, yes, you screwed up. Yes. So moving forward, let's say you get your lease extended. What do you say? First of all, I think you should apologize, but what do you say that you're going to do better moving forward? Because you didn't do that.
Right. I apologize to the West End community for not communicating effectively and not being more transparent as it relates to what it is that we are doing within the West End. What we would like to do is invite individuals who are interested in learning more about what we're doing and be a part of our operations to let us know. We'd like to create some sort of a committee so that we can have oversight, not only the home board, but also members of the community, so that they can feel assured that we are doing everything in our power to ensure the safety of the community, but then to also make sure that our residents are being supported.
And that the area residents feel cool with you being there.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful community and we are enjoying it. We enjoy going on the ferry. We enjoy our relationships with the Bose Island gas station. We enjoy taking walks in Dockyard. The West End is a beautiful part of Bermuda. It's amazing. It is amazing. And
tell them again.
And the residents are very committed to doing everything that they can so that the area residents feel supported and feel safe.
Well, you both have work to do.
Yes.
The building looks like crap. Fix it.
Wait. We're working on that.
I said fix it.
It is being fixed.
Thanks for coming on board.
Thank you for
I
having
hope it
us.
wasn't as painful as you thought it would be. I think it's good that you get out in front of this. It's not over because he still has to say what he's going to do.
Yes, he does.
So we'll be back. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks.
If you quit smoking, just 20 minutes later, your blood pressure goes down. 2 days, you've already decreased your risk of heart attack and your sense of taste and smell return. 2 weeks, walking is easier and breathing has improved. 5 years, you've reduced the risk of many cancers and saved around $30,000.
Pathways Bermuda has a 4-week program to help you quit smoking. Call 236-0823 or email info@pathwaysbermuda.bm.
Good day and welcome to Visions with Desmond Crockwell. I am the Director of Youth Vision Promotions and the Chief Editor of Visions magazines. And our magazines in particular, we use them to give people a platform to speak. And people share their experiences, they share their opinions, they share their advice. And so one young man that has been featured in our magazines has been a young brother that I have known forever. I've known his mama, his daddy, the brothers, you know, like I've known him forever, man. And when I tell you that I got love for my young brother, like the love is like a big brother to little brother type of love. You know, there's been times where I'm got in his case, and the times where he's talked his stuff to me, he goes on and on and on. Yeah. But I understand the context in which he is speaking. I understand the environment in which he found himself in at times. I understand his mentality. So I, as a man, don't take it personal. And I appreciate the fact that he feels comfortable enough to come to me and reason. Because when, as we have reiterated before, it takes courage to be on the street. It takes courage to stand up to people. It takes courage at times to go into the mood that you go into when you become defensive and aggressive. And at that time, alcohol fueled that courageousness for this young man. And being on the streets, you have to be tough in some way. In some way, you have to either show that you're tough, or you have to put on and mask this insecurity with courage. And we do it through drugs and alcohol. We have spoken to people before about how they use drugs because they lacked security. And so their drugs made them feel courageous. And there's times where people have used alcohol, and that alcohol masks any type of insecurities that we have, and it makes us courageous. And so a young man that comes along that feels that way, many of us can relate to. We can relate to why a young man is aggressive and angry. So I just wanted to introduce my young brother today. And if you know him, you know that he has come a long way. You know that he is still in the developing stages of life when it comes to from doing negative to doing from thinking negative to thinking positive. Because if you change the way you think, then you're gonna change your actions. If you change the way you think about yourself and you see yourself as worth something, then you will start acting like you're worth something. You think you're worth less, you're gonna act like you're worth less. And you need substances to fuel you up so you can start thinking that you are worth something.